So this is the tutorial, super simple, how to create a line and then animate the line into sequence. Then later we can transfer back to Rhino, we can do some grasshopper stuff. Okay, so let's start with the line. So go to curve, I'm going to create a curve, right? So first, let's a little bit warm up about my interface. Spacebar, you can switch between the viewports. Okay, so let's go ahead work on the front window. So I can, active front, spacebar, you jump to the front. And here I'm going to draw a line. When you draw the curve, usually I use EP curve, means edit points. If you double click, you can see the settings, the current settings for the tool. You should get familiar with the degree, right? The curve degree. If I want to draw a straight line, which degree I should use? 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. Which one? Any ideas? 1, right? That's giving me the polyline, the straight line. So let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's straight. Okay, so enter finish. You got the line. Alright, so we got the first line, and then let's go ahead and animate the line. Okay, so in Maya, if you right click, you can actually see the component of a geometry. So the component for a line is points, right? All edit points, all control vertex. So let's go to edit points. So EP curve, EP stands for edit points, EP curve. So you see all the points there. I can pick the points. I should actually disable soft selection because by default you have this checked. Maya will actually select a range of points rather than 1 point. So I will disable that. So make sure I only select 1 point. And then W, right? I can move the points. This is how you shape the curve. Pretty straightforward, right? This is how to do the editing the curve in Maya. So now I'm going to animate this kind of editing. So along the timeline right now I have 120 frames. I can definitely drag it to make it longer. I can even type, let's see, 300. So give me 300 frames. All right. So in frame number 1, just make sure you use your cursor, the pointer, drag the slider to frame number 1. This is the place I'm starting to animate the point. So right now I selected this one single point. I can use S to save the current selection. Okay. Let's go to another frame. I will move it. Use S. Oh, I'm sorry. I think this is not animatable. Hold on. Control vertex. Yep. It's not editing points, it's control points. Sorry for that. So if you right click, instead of go to editing points, go to the control vertex. Okay. When the curve are 1 degree, there's no difference between these two. However, if you do 3 degree curve, you will see the control vertex is actually outside the curve. It's kind of like a Bezier curve. The control point is not on the curve. Is outside the curve. All right, so sorry for that. We use control vertex. So let's pick up points. In the frame 1, I use S to keyframe this control vertex. Right? You'll see a red bar show up in frame 1. And then let's go to frame, let's see, 100. I move the points up, use S keyframe, and then go to another frame. I move these guys down, S keyframe. So you have 3 keyframes, like right bar. So now if I play, you see what happened? Yeah, the curve is moving. See that? So that point is animated along these 300 frames. So let's do another point. So maybe this time I want to pick these points. So in frame 1, S, another frame, I will move the points maybe here, S, right? So now along the timeline, you can see these points will start to move, right? And then let's pick up these 2 points. In frame 1, I use S, and then in another frame, I move these points down, S, and then in another frame, I move up. I will actually rotate, because you have 2 points, so when you rotate, you actually rotate the edges in between. You can also do scale, use R. You can scale the edges in between. Use S to freeze it. So now I have these lines kind of animated in some weird way, right? And I will keep doing that. I will pick up these 3 points, S to freeze at the beginning, and then at the end I use W to move, E to rotate, R to scale, W to move. All right, and then at the end use S to freeze it. So now if I play, you see these 3 lines will change. All right, so this is a pretty crazy kind of animation I think I created right now. If you consider this as a building profile, or the sections of the building, it could be really interesting, right? In a situation like an airport, if there's a really long corridor, you can definitely provide different proportions of compression of the space over time if you're doing this, kind of changing over time. Alright, so I'm happy with the whole animation. Then let's jump out of the points. So right click. So right now I'm still in the control vertex. So I will jump out, choose select. Right, when you do select, you basically jump out of the component mode. Another quick way to jump out is F8. So remember this keyword. F8, you can switch between the component selection to the object selection. So object selection means the entire curve. F8 again, you can select individual component. Right, so Maya is really heavy with these shortcuts, F8. So remember that. Now if I play animation, you can still see the curve kind of changing the shape, right, over time. Then the next thing I want to do is, if you think about this scenario like an airport, apparently this curve, kind of like a section, right now is is morphing. However, I do want to create this kind of long axis along the pathway. So I'm going to animate the curve along the z-axis. So in Maya, the z is actually on the floor. The y is up. If you pay attention, the y is up. That's okay. So along the timeline, in the first frame, I use S, right, to keyframe the location of the entire object. So this is not individual points, it's the entire object. Then I go to frame 300. I move these points a little bit far away, and then use S to keyframe. So now if I play, you'll see the curve is moving along the z-axis, right? It's kind of like the section along the pathway. Okay, I'm pretty happy with it. Then I'm going to freeze the animation into a sequence of duplications. So in Maya, I can switch the menu from polygon, which is the default, to animation. So in animation, I can create animate snapshot. Right? Again, snapshot is kind of like capture the moment based on the timeline. So go to the setting box, the square. I can define the time range to entire slider. I can capture a duplication maybe every 10 frames. So you end up with 30, right? If you divide 300 to 10, you get 30 duplications. So just make sure you select object, hit apply. You got all the curves. Okay, and this curve is a nice, rhythm across space. Really depends on how you animate. The view looks different. If I look at the outliner, which is the list of objects in Maya, you can see that's a duplicated snapshot. If you open this group, I have 30 curves in a group. Okay, pretty cool. And this curve is the original curve. So don't get confused. The new curve is in a group. So in the original curve 1, if I think, well, in the animation, I know it's animate, through these 300 frames. But if I want to update in the frame 150, I move this curve to this location, new location, and then use S to keyframe the new values. As soon as you keyframe, Maya will update. Okay, so it's sort of parametric in real time, like Grasshopper. So it really depends on how you're gonna modify the lines. As soon as you hit S to save, Maya will remember that. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with it. You can even scale down. I use R to scale. Maybe only scale this direction. Right? Then use S to frame. It will capture that change. S. Okay. So now I'm ready to transfer these lines into Rhino. So select all of these lines. Export. Selection. I think DXF would be the good choice. Or you can use IGs. They all work. IGs or DXF. Let's use DXF. So I gave the name as lines. And then in Rhino, I'm going to import DXF. So that's it. All right, so here you have this sequence of lines directly from Maya. Okay, you can do all kinds of stuff later. You can apply Grasshopper script, you can do loft, many options. Okay, again, this is come from the animation, so I think that is something quite unique. Compared with a Rhino thing. This is the original curve. I can delete. I don't need that. So let's apply the truss, Grasshopper truss to this thing. Do I still have my old script? Let me open my script. Let's see, where is it? Parametric truss. All right, so this is my old script. Not sure if this is one. With a truss. Nope, this one is not. Yeah, but oh yeah, the first portion. Yes, I will freeze this. All right, if you recall this script I did long time ago, create a triangular, truss, right? So let's do that. I will active this guy. I do need to rotate the lines because all the line come from Maya is kind of Y up, right? So in Rhino it's a Z up. You do need to do this extra work, which is okay. So rotate. All right, so that fixed the problem. All right, so that's all. Oh no, I need to rotate one more time. Oops. Rotate. Okay. So that's it. That looks pretty good. Then I'm loading this sequence into that. So first I'm going to get rid of the connection. Disconnect. To save time, I will actually disconnect the profile as well. Okay. Then I'm going to load the lines. So set multiple curve. It should be able to create a truss. Here we go. So all the truss show up from here. Maybe I should link directly to the extrusion. It's easier, you can see it. Oh. Okay, it's getting slow, but that's okay. So here's a new truss system. I think the reason why the triangle sort of messed up because this is not a straight line anymore, right? It's a polyline. So maybe I shouldn't using this script. I should just using a simple lunchbox 2D truss. I think this one will work better, right? You just offset the entire thing, you do the 2D truss. But you got the idea, this is how you can merge these two really powerful programs together to create something really, really awesome. Question? Yes, I can loft the entire thing here as a surface. Then I can apply the space frame on the top. Yeah, I think so. However, you probably need to be careful is when you loft these rigid lines, is actually is a is a poly surface. It's not a single surface. You know what I mean? So in that sense, you actually break this into many smaller surfaces, and each one should independently apply a space truss, space frame. Okay, but I do think the easiest way you guys could do is just simply let me just create a new one. Curve. It's just simply a 2D truss. So here, if you just move up this, right, along the z-axis, so set multiple curve. All right, so you can move up the whole thing. Maybe let's define the number to 2. All right, and then you can do a 2D frame, 2D truss. So the upper curve A, lower curve B, and then I can give n value right? So you can have this truss. If I give this to merge, so this is all the lines come out. Yeah, so this is the truss, right? And also I think probably move up is not a good idea. Maybe I should do offside. What do you think? Because offside will give you this very even thickness, right, for this truss. So let's do offside. When you do offside, so that's the result. It does looks better. And I will, give offside value to A. Oh boy, why is so dense? Interesting. What do you say? We'll try. So B is not grafted, A is grafted. You are right. Thank you. So here we go. You are the man, right? That's good. So now, yeah, it seems like it's working a little bit better. Okay, of course you guys should play with it. I mean, maybe at some point you need to break apart the entire, structure into pieces, and then just link based on every single surface. So it still looks not right in some part. I think offside will sometimes change the geometry. So maybe I should using scale instead, using offside. Alright, so many different options. I would encourage you to play. Okay, so that is about the animation. For the human body movement, I think it's already covered in the tutorial. I just show you really quick. I don't have to cover details. Just keep in mind, in this new version of Maya, in the general editors, you have a wiser library. This is the place you can find a lot of animation. I think my screen is dual screen. The windows pop up on the other screen. I cannot show you right now. But watch the tutorial. You will go step by step. Okay, so let me stop this video right here.